it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk, and today I'm bringing you one of my sand and sea suite projects. So I shared this recently in a showcase for the new suite, and it is absolutely beautiful. So this is a suite which means it includes stamps and dies in this instance. Sometimes it's punches, and you can see here a beautiful stamp set called Friends Are Like Seashells, with lovely shell images and super sentiments as well, first of love and friendship. You can see them all stamped out here, and you can see that actually you've got an infill shape as well, so you get different shading if you want to on all of these, or you can use these as shadow effects underneath your seashells as well if you just want to stamp them. So super images, and then the die cuts. So you've got a die that cuts out this beautiful big image here, and then the other dies, the individual ones, cut out things like the fronds and the sand dollar and some of these extra ones as well. Other things in the suite is the lovely pearlescent paper, which we're going to use today, and you can obviously ink that up if you want to. I'm not using the DSP, but I am using the colour palette. So we've got two sizes of Opal Rounds. I'm going to use some of those. The colour palette you can see here is sort of lovely soft, along with the sort of slightly stronger pinks, and a Sahara sand as the neutral. Yeah, so let's get cracking with the project. Okay, so here we go. Here's a couple of samples that I've done in both blue and so saffron. You see here, depending on your tones, this one's kind of flirty flamingo. I've used the blushing bride in here, and then I've just used a strip of that lovely embossing folder. So that texture that you can see there is from an embossing folder. It's a 3D one, and you can either use it just on its own to create a lovely 3D textured panel, or to add extra dimension to those shells, which I'm hoping you can see there. Beautiful ones. So yeah, so let's go. So we're starting off with a standard card base. So I've just taken some very vanilla because I felt it went better with the pearlescent. Half a sheet of cardstock, depending where you are in the world, but in Europe and the UK, we are 14.5 by 21 centimetres, scored at 10.5, or 5 3/4, 8 1/4, scored at 4 1/8 to make our card base. Oh, other stamps that I'm using, should have said, is the sweet sampler one. This is the host one. So if your order comes to £150, or you're getting together with friends for an order of £150, you can get this special stamp set as part of your rewards. It's only available through rewards, and it has extra images to go with several of the sweets that we've got in the spring and summer catalogue. Now I've kind of made a best guess at what those are. Fine Art Floral, obviously this shell for Sea and Sand, Hydrangea Hill. I think this is either Sea and Sand or the Ice Cream Corner. Obviously this one is Dandy Garden, and then the floral image, I think again a Hydrangea Hill. I would probably put those with. Anyway, that's the other one I use, and I think it's off the top of my head it's about £12 of your reward, so you'd still be able to pop in some extras. So I've taken a sheet of the pearlescent card, I popped it in my Seashells embossing folder, and all I'm going to do now is pop that through my cut and emboss. Great thing, the cut and emboss machine, all the plates you need are there. They are also numbered, and on the actual plates themselves it tells you what sandwich to use. So for this 3D one, it's just the base plate and that big grey plate. Goes through beautifully, and here you have your lovely embossed image, you can see there. So we're just going to use a strip of that in a moment. I have also already die cut my seashell, big seashell from Sea and Sand, and this is what I found works best for me. I prefer to die cut, then stamp it, then emboss it. So having die cut that, I'm going to use some of my seashell images now to actually stamp on that. So I'm grabbing a bit of Blushing Bride. What other colours shall we use? Perhaps a bit of the Seaside Spray. So let's go for Seaside Spray with our big shell image. So I'm just going to ink that up, tap, 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 rotate it till you're comfortable, hover over the top. to line up. Now I probably won't get this as lined up as I would normally because I can't quite stand over the top with my tripod in the way, but not bad to do this on this one. And I'm going to do perhaps do the same on the smaller conch shell. Well, not exactly a conch shell, is it? Is it conch shell, that one? That one I've gone off on. Okay. Let's grab our big Nautilus. Now this one I know is a Nautilus shell. These beautiful swirls, been around for millions of years. Just like a fossil, isn't it? So there you go. And then you can come in with your extra little images as well. And so we've got a little scallop shell here, a little dinky one. And we've got our bigger shell as well. Like so. Okay, so we've stamped all of our images. Now all you need to do is pop that through the embossing folder. So what I have done, or what I do, is I pop that in and you line it. I find it works best by lining up my fronds. So I just sort of hold it in one corner until all my fronds are kind of lined up. And then pop it over, and you should then be able to see it kind of lines up with the image. And again, just pop it through with that base plate and our grey plate over the top. Just keep those plates nice and square. And the great thing with Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss, that folds up out of the way. So either for travelling or for stamping on the go, or just if you're short on space. And then you get those lovely images. And all I'm going to do now is just cut those out. So I'm just going to go around and release those images. And you can see, you know, most of the work's been done for you. And if you prefer a closer trim, obviously you can do that by hand as well. So just come in with those. Now you could obviously leave those extra bits on if you wanted to. I'm trimming them away for this card. But you know, don't throw those away. Keep those pieces because you know you can always use them on another card at another time. Okay, and look how quickly this comes together. And I say, even if I haven't lined it up quite perfectly, it's a really forgiving folder, so it really doesn't matter at all. So there we've got some lovely images. What I've also done is already stamped and die cut with some of the other dies, the sand dollar and the starfish. Just have done Sahara sand and the seaside spray. And this is just to show you another bit of colouring if you want to. So obviously, you know, we've got the lovely stamping blends, which I absolutely adore. But this is just another way of adding a bit of colour to it. So just grab a block, add it to your ink pad, and our stamping blends, check it's obviously clear. And then you can just come in and add a bit of colour with whatever ink pad you happen to have. And you kind of get a lovely effect. So that's just adding a little bit more colour and texture. So obviously now I want to do some of my Sahara sand for that lovely sand dollar. So just a clean block, add a bit of Sahara sand. And so I'm not in my usual space, so if the light is a bit out on today, there's a very good reason. I'm having some fun and games. I have a mouse in my craft room, which appeared. I have two cats. We live in the countryside. They do catch mice occasionally. The only problem is on this occasion, they've obviously managed to bring it in. It was not dead and it has escaped. And so far they haven't caught it, but where it has taken up residence is in my craft room. So I really don't want to be crafting and have a mouse about, because I've left it, we're putting a humane trap up there to try and get rid of it. So I have decamped downstairs, but it does mean that I'm kind of out of sorts, so it's not quite how I would normally have my setup. Maybe it's better, who knows. Right, other things. So let's add some colour to this card base. So I have got one of our beautiful new stamping blending brushes. These are amazing. If you've used your makeup brushes before, which obviously people have for a long time, these are even better because they're even deeper. They're even sort of denser with the fibres. And all you do is just dip it in. I just brush a tiny bit off, just so I don't get any deep ones. And they're lovely flexible heads, so you don't need much pressure. And I'm just adding a bit of colour to that. Now, obviously if you use a darker colour, you'll get a deeper colour sooner. I'm sticking with the So Saffron because that's one in the colour palette, but also because I just want a kind of hint of sort of sunshine and fun in there. And I'm sort of starting in the middle where it's going to be covered up. So if I do end up with a bit of a darker patch, that's fine. But that will blend out beautifully. So we just kind of get a swash across there. And then I'm going to come in with my little sort of sprinkles. Really useful stamp set for adding accents to all sorts of things. I could have perhaps used the bubbles from the Sweet Sampler set. And then I'm just going to add that to the inside as well, just across the bottom there. And I'm going to use that lovely shell from the Sweet Sampler stamp set. And just pop that in the corner there. There we go. Okay, so if we kind of clear the decks a little bit, and let's get our card coming together. So we've created our base. I've taken a piece of Seaside spray and cut that to 14.5 by 3.8 centimetres, so it's about 1.5 inches. Then we've obviously got our panel, so we just need to cut a strip. Now I've got one that I'd done already, so I'm just going to cut a strip off that. Again, it's about 3.5 centimetres. So we just want a narrow border, so I might actually do it about 3.4, and then just trim that down. So whichever end has got slightly less detail on it, just trim that. So that's going to be our line. You can see you still get the lovely, you know, super images, and just, you know, decide what you want more showing. So you might want more of this Nautilus shell. Adding this, it's textured, so you want to, I generally add embossed panels with Tombow, because that kind of extra bit of dimension that I find just helps. Okay. And we're going to add that onto our card with some dimensionals as well. New sheet of dimensionals, haven't had a chance to add anything, so I'm just going to put some, so 4 large dimensionals down the middle there. So I haven't had a chance to mark on the back, so usually, as you see, I tend to mark the back of my dimensionals so I can see when I've taken the layer off. So just add, and I'm just coming sort of down just about, so about 1/3 of the way up. There or thereabouts. Add that on, and then we can add our shells. What I might do is perhaps I'll stick with that one. So I'm kind of going to just shape those very slightly, and that's just with my fingers, just to add a bit of dimension to them. Just press very lightly to give those a nice bit of shape. Keep my other Nautilus for another occasion. And this is what I mean by drawing on my dimensionals. So, and then build your picture up for however you want. So I'm just going to add my sand dollar to the bottom corner there. And then I'm actually going to add my, which I don't usually do, I'm going to add my dimensionals to my panel, because that obviously means they're in the right place to kind of get an overlapping layer. And then you can then add those in however you want. There we go. Perhaps might have been better with a pink shell in there, but what I'll do is add one of our. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to add a. Just to kind of, what you want is for these images to kind of stand out. And what I do is I literally will have extra images that I have sort of already done, just so you can, you can mix and match them whenever you want, and you want to put a card together quite quickly. And you can see there the difference. That's one that's just been flat stamped, and this is the difference. So this is beautiful, gives you lots of texture in the stamping, but adding that embossing folder takes it to the next level. So if you're ready to move your crafting up onto that, next level, then I really do recommend you get an embossing machine. You will have such fun with it. So yeah, now I've lost my starfish. Okay, never mind. Perhaps we might pop another shell in there, maybe. We'll leave it as it is. Actually, let's leave it as it is. So now, last little bit is to add on these beautiful opal rounds. So these are 2 sizes, beautiful, add an iridescence to them. Australian opals, world renowned, absolutely gorgeous, and these just capture that. And obviously you could add your sentiment here or in the top corner here. I tend to leave mine blank, so they're ready to go when I want them. But there you have a couple or 3 beautiful seashell themed images that you can really vary just by varying the colours you use in the stamping. Add some pinks and blues. As I say, I love this suite, so there'll be lots more inspiration to come. Make beautiful cards with lovely texture. So if you'd like to purchase it, pop along to my Stampin' Up shop at flutterbyheidi.co.uk, or pop along to my blog and you'll find all the links in there. Thanks for watching. Come back soon. Bye.